There, this should work. No water's gonna spill. Some glass might get broken. Oh, well I'm expecting that. So I usually do this with chicken wire in front of me. My name's Brad Jones. I run thecinemasnob.com. I'm also on channelawesome.com. I do stuff with geekjuicemedia.com. I am on League of Supercritics on YouTube. Probably a bunch of other stuff too that I'm not aware of. If someone leaks my videos onto other sites, I'm sure they're on there. Have you guys been to our site before? Yeah, cool. Sweet, I don't have to explain anything. Some of it's hard to explain. I did a con last month. I did a con in Indianapolis last month, and it was actually made up of a lot of people who hadn't been to our site before, which is great when you're standing up there trying to explain that to total strangers. Like, well, you know E.T., right? Well, there's several movies where people have sex with him. If you want to see that, go to my website. And then download the movie. If you want. I can tell you which one's the better one. I don't know, that's a sad thing about my life. This one way better than that one. The Austrian one, oh yeah, totally. Which one's the better Sasquatch porno? One guy's like, oh, that's obvious. It's the geek, of course. Even though it has no ending. Let's get that filthy animal. And look, we ran out of money. Sasquatch got away. We'll make a sequel. Never. This is gonna be, I'll shoot the shit, tell some different stories about, you know, more Sasquatch, I guess. And also a Q&A. Does anybody have any questions? Right on, right in front.
One question is, with a bunch of those super comic book pornos that have every kind, like the Batman one, did it ever impress you how much some of them actually try to go an extra effort to emulate, like the Batman one actually perfectly try to emulate?
Does it surprise me when one of them
actually go an extra effort for a porno?
Depends on the era that it's from.
Right.
Because that one, that's Italian Batman, and that's, I want to say that's 70s. Yeah, it kind of emulates the 60s Batman series a bit.
What about like the current one? Like there was one like a couple of years ago that had...
Oh, the newer one?
Yeah, the newer one.
I would have seen that.
Only
old school Batman porno.
Never surprise you when they ever put an extra effort and don't actually, they actually, it feels like a parody and not like a, like, oh, we just toss these in.
Again, it depends on the era it's from. Like the Italian Batman one's funny because it just starts out on this clip you can see on YouTube where the dude is just riding a bicycle up a hill for like this long, like 2-minute pan shot. And he starts going up a hill and they keep rolling and he just gets really tired halfway through and just carries the bike the rest of the way up the hill. Cut! Perfect!
Music in that too.
What's up?
They're playing really wacky music.
Probably. Yeah, there was wackiness throughout that whole movie. But like, okay, the porno spoofs from the 80s, you know, like, okay, some of them kind of spoof the movie a little bit, but a lot of them, some of them I come across like, yeah, the title sort of spoofs something, like, Who Reamed Rosie Rabbit? Which, that's a really easy mystery, because there's only 2 people in the movie. I wonder if it's the guy sitting next to her. It is. It was just a clip show, like, the guy's name is Eddie, and the girl's name is Rosie Rabbit, and then they watch, like, porn on TV together. That's the movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's exactly the same. It'd be like if Who Framed Roger Rabbit was just Roger Rabbit and Eddie Valiant watching Looney Tunes on TV for 2 hours. So, and there was also like Friday the 13th, a nude beginning, which knew enough to spoof an actual subtitle from a Friday the 13th movie. But again, it's just like, it's a guy named Jason, that's it, and a girl, and they're daring each other like who can do more devious things on Earth. Friday the 13th, whatever. That one at least tried. I mean, it was more than just 2 people watching TV together.
There was a twist that they were brother and sister at the end.
That wasn't a twist. That wasn't a twist. You knew it was a twist in the beginning. The twist was that they don't have sex with each other by the end. Then it would have been a Caligula spoof, sort of. You can't say porno spoof because Caligula's a porn.
Do you have any tips on making movies with like a really low budget?
Do I? I've been doing that for years. Well, yeah, I mean, if you've got the, okay, if you have an idea and you want to make like a point and shoot movie, like, you know, like just really, like not even micro budget, just below micro budget, which is what most of mine are. The only movies of mine that have had a budget were movies that were written by me but directed by somebody else. Directed by someone with far more talent as a director than I have. Like, I want this to look professional, I probably shouldn't direct it. But if I want it to look like, you know, scuzzy VHS movie, like, oh, I can totally direct that. I've directed a lot of those. Make what you can actually make. Like, you know, I've had people say to me, like, I've got this idea for a movie. I've got a camera and a few guys, and it's about warring cities in Texas. I'm like, dude, you might want to hold back on that. Like, make it about, like, warring houses in Texas. And so, like, okay, when I started making movies, full-length movies, I would make certainly the kind of thing that I wanted to make. Like, meaning, like, okay, I want to make this movie about, like, a coke party in a house and one of them is a serial killer. That was the first full-length movie I did. And I have the means to make this. It's just, it all takes place relatively in one location. Like, yeah, it takes place in the 70s, but we could work around that. It's not like we're filming like downtown anywhere where there's just gonna be totally not 70s cars in the background. So, yeah, I had ideas for other stuff, but I knew I wouldn't be able to make it. Like, you know, okay, I wrote a post-apocalyptic movie once. I knew I couldn't make that back then. Probably couldn't even make that now. But yeah, just kind of work within your own means. Certainly, you know, make something you want to make, but be like, okay, like I can do that. Like, in my case, like I can make a movie about snuff filmmakers. That's easy. I have a camera. That's pretty cool.
Indiana's not exactly known to be open-minded. You weren't afraid of getting run out of town on a rail?
This was before that stuff happened. The Indiana religious law thing that was in the news. This was before then. So we, yeah, no, I didn't think any of us would get run out of town or anything like that, but we went there, we had con, we did pretty good business at it, you know. There was some personal stuff that happened that it was kind of bullshit, but, no, this was way before that. This is way before Indiana became a very controversial state.
I'm Amish. Would you ever go back and revisit some of your old Snob episodes like Jane Groff did with the
No, like as much as I don't like I think anybody who does this, they'll say the same thing. They don't like their earlier stuff. I've never met anyone who does this kind of thing that they're like, I love the first videos I did. I've never seen anybody say that unless they're still making their first videos. Then it's great. Even back then, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. It's a 4-minute video of me talking about Burial Ground, Nights of Terror. Now I'm like, well, that video sucks. No, I wouldn't go back and revisit it just because they are what they are. I mean, like, yeah, I wish that like I had waited until later to do some of them so that some of these movies could have had a better episode attached to them, like the Stallone porn Italian Stallion. It's like, I wish that wasn't one of the earlier episodes. I wish that was way later. But no, I wouldn't revisit them just because they are a product of what I was doing then. Like that was as good as I was then. That showed where I sort of was in that show's progression, and honestly, I really, really don't like my earlier episodes, so if I were to redo one, it would cause people to go back and watch the other one out of curiosity. I don't want that. Don't watch those. Yeah.
Did you say boo or boo earns?
I was saying boo earns.
What was the hardest film you had to sit through, and which one was the hardest one you had to film for?
Nuki. Oh my God. Oh man, I never get tired of telling that story. I really don't, because that was seriously the hardest thing I sat through. That was the hardest fucking thing I sat through. Yeah, you guys have heard of Nuki, right? It's this E.T. ripoff. And I'm sitting there watching it. This is when I was doing ET week for an anniversary week on my site. And one of the ones I picked is this movie called Nuki. And this movie is so bad to sit through that it took me like 2 days to get through it. Normally I can get through the movie in a day just fine, but that movie, I'm like halfway through. I'm sitting there like, I just have to do something else with my day. This is making me depressed. This is making me really question what I'm doing for a living. Like, is it worth it? Maybe I'll just quit. Like, no, it was just I think it was around the sleep dance when he's like, I'll put you to sleep, and then starts like dancing and like there's organ music playing. I'm like, fuck this is annoying. But later on, I sat through To Catch a Yeti, which was about as hard to sit through as Nuki. And he was the best part. And so Nuki was, the next day I went back and watched the rest, and I was still in a shit mood. Like, even though I finished it, like, this movie will never hurt me again, even though I have to edit footage from it. Which is kind of, there's something, it's like an extra punch to the gut when like you're watching a terrible movie and also having to take notes on it. Like, you just enrolled in the worst class ever. You have to sit there and take notes on Nuki. And I was still married when I was doing this, and even Jillian will say, like, yeah, he wasn't the same that day. He was in a terrible, terrible mood. And in terms of, like, episodes that are hard to shoot, that doesn't happen often, because mine's a pretty easy show to make. Which is why my turnaround time is typically pretty good. I don't have a lot of post-production effects that are really any, like, that go into it. It's me sitting there riffing on a movie, it's either voiceover or I'm sitting there saying something to the camera. Even when I have a sketch involved, those are easy to do because, like, they don't really involve any special effects or anything. So my turnaround time is typically pretty easy. I mean, there's ones that have taken longer, like the Cannibal Holocaust one, which was very sketch-related. The I Spit on Your Grave one was very sketch-related. And so, but even those, like, still wouldn't take as long as somebody who has to put in, like, a bunch of special effects in their videos. I'm too lazy for that. Way too lazy. Yeah. Yeah.
Two questions. First off, I know your site's Loya approved, but what does Chloe think?
She's not a fan. She doesn't like my site. Chloe hates it. That's why she usually will wake me up by jumping on my stomach. So Lloyd's the much bigger fan than she is. Chloe's a very shy cat. She kind of keeps to herself. She's a really sweet cat, but she keeps to herself, and she kind of keeps to herself. She sleeps a lot. You've seen him in the videos. He's incredibly vocal. He'll tell you exactly what's on his mind. And we're doing an animated series now that's based on Lloyd, where he's a private investigator. He has to take on, like, cases where he's hired by, like, B-movie characters. So the pilot episode is Nuki's brother hires him to search for Nuki in the African desert. And it's not called Nuki, it's called, like, Dookie. Because, like, having to be sued by the people who made Nuki would be the most embarrassing thing in the world. And so Sarah Lewis from my website, she plays the voice of Nuki and his brother in it. And to get the voice down, she watched the entirety of Nuki. I didn't tell you to do that. Like, you really didn't have to do that. Oh my God. She's like, that's one of the worst things I've ever seen. I could have told you that. You could have just watched the clip. But she's hilarious. She's really funny as the voice. Joe?
Yeah, my other question is there any video you've made in, like, this Snob movie in the past, like, 2 years or so, you've been like, I think I could have done that one better, or one that you think you nailed perfectly?
My favorite? Well, I don't know. It's certainly the older ones. I'm like, yeah, okay, I could have done that better. My older ones had to be short. They had to be under 10 minutes, because at the time YouTube had like a 10-minute maximum limit, so they had to be 10 minutes long. So the videos were the reviews are very non-linear. Now they're linear. You can go through the entire movie and kind of poke fun at it. I don't know. My favorite ones are the ones where I can really be more like, you capitalize on the snobbiness of the character, you know, like if he's watching Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Maniac and stuff like that. But my favorite episodes, my favorite kind of movies to do are the What the Fuck Hollywood ones. Like, you know, the one, Wired is one of my favorite episodes. The one about John Belushi's ghost. Jesus Christ. That movie pissed me off so goddamn much. And I'd seen the movie before. I remember when it came out. I saw it when it first came out. And then I saw it again in high school. I'm like, I remember this being stupid, so of course I'm going to watch it again. And I saw it, and then I kind of forgot about it years later. And because I remember, like, okay, Michael Chiklis is really good. And then I decided to do it for the site because it is a total what the fuck movie. Like, he's awake on the autopsy table and there's a laugh track playing and a guy turns into a hibachi chef. Like, who the fuck thought of this? Who thought this was a good idea? Like, I cannot imagine knowing somebody and seeing a movie about them and then that happens. And so I watched it again for the site, and maybe it was the combined effects of taking notes on it. And I'm sitting there mad watching it. Like, fuck everything about this movie. Oh my god, I can't wait to do this episode. So those are my favorite kind of ones to do.
All right. 2 questions. First, when did Brian free his slaves?
Who says he has?
I thought so. Nah, never mind. Okay, secondly, shoot, I forget what the second question was now. Alright, I'll come back.
Yeah.
Okay, in regards to the pornos, 1, how do you find most of these? And 2, what made you want to review movies about talking vaginas for a living?
I love any question that starts out with, in regards to the pornos. Well, I mean, I grew up watching exploitation movies, so this is all kind of in my wheelhouse. Like, my parents didn't care what I watched. Like, they didn't. I could watch, like, I remember the first time I saw Behind the Green Door. Classic 70s porn. I've never seen it. I remember the first time I watched that. I don't know, I was maybe in junior high or something like that. And I remember seeing my mom the next day. She's like, "How was your night?" I'm like, "I'm pretty good. I watched Behind the Green Door." My mom's like, "I love that movie. It's great, right?" I know, it was awesome. And so it's just like, I grew up watching all kinds of movies. So in terms of doing the pornos for the episode, like, you know, E.T. the porno and all of that, like, that is stuff I would have seeked out just on curiosity factor alone, because I grew up collecting just like fucked up shit like that. So some of them I come across and I'm like, well, that'll just make for a funny episode. There are movies that I do on the site that I already own, and then there's ones like E.T. the porno, and the Jaws porno spoof Gums, that's about the mermaid who, like, this movie is amazing. It's hilarious. Because it starts out and it does the skinny dipping thing from the beginning of Jaws, but it's the girl falls asleep on the beach and then the guy goes in instead, and the mermaid comes and, like, gives them a blowjob, and that's what kills them. So the mermaid swims along and finds the guy and then starts, you know, doing that to him, and the guy's in the water like, "Ooh!" like, dies afterwards. I guess he died happy, I don't know. He seemed like he really wanted out.
From Snoo Snoo.
Yeah, exactly. And so, stuff like that, I'm the type of person, when somebody says to me, like, "Have you ever seen the porno spoof Jaws where it's called Gums?" I'm the person who would go out and be like, "I am finding this movie. Who knows if I'm going to watch it? I just want to own it." I have the option to watch it. It's there. Movies like this are easy to find online. Like, if I don't own it, there's easy ways to find them online. Yeah.
With all the movies that you've made, what are some of the some of the most fun moments on the set? And I know that you recently did an episode on The Exorcist 2. So what are your thoughts on the third one that came after that?
Oh, Exorcist 3 is great. Like, Exorcist 2 is total what the fuck. Like, I remember the first time I saw Exorcist 2, it was when I saw the first one, junior high. I went out and rented the first one and then rented the second one. First was a great fucking movie. I love the first Exorcist film, and then I'm like, I should then watch the second one. Pop in Exorcist 2, and I just remember being pissed. I remember being pissed off, like, what the fuck is it? What is this mind machine? Now they're on the what's with the locusts? I don't get this. When's someone gonna get possessed? This is stupid. It's ridiculous. Why is Richard Burton is really drunk? I wish I was as drunk as him watching this movie. And I remember being so mad and hating Exorcist 2. And because of that, it took me a while to watch the third one. Like, I probably watched the third one in high school. And then I watched the third one and I loved it. The third one's great. Fantastic supernatural serial killer movie. It's a great freaking movie. And I've seen the second one more than once. I did the episode on it, but I'd seen it before since. I mean, I own a copy of it. And the thing about Exorcist 2, it's a beautiful looking movie. It is gorgeous. The cinematography is fantastic. The sets are really elaborate. Like, there are ideas in the movie. The movie does have ambition. It has a different way it wants to go with it. It's just all stupid. Like, okay, it's original, but that doesn't mean that it's good. But it's a beautiful looking movie. The soundtrack is good. You want to like it so bad because it's obvious that dude, John Borman cared about it, but James Earl Jones in the Locust costume, like, this is the good Locust, like, this is dumb. But, so, Exorcist 3 is great. I wanted to do an episode on Exorcist 2 for a while, but yeah, the Nostalgia Critic did an episode on it, so for a while I was kind of like, I don't want to get a bunch of comments that are like, Doug did it! That can get annoying. But that kind of comment is kind of tapered off after a while. Not as many people really do that anymore. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do Exorcist 2. One guy's like, Doug did it. I'm like, I don't care. So, yeah.
When it came to Sleepaway Camp, the original one, were you legitimately surprised by the twist, or?
Oh, that wasn't the first time I saw the movie. Like I was saying about Exorcist, in terms of Sleepaway Camp, hang on, I got a phone call. In terms of Sleepaway Camp, I'd rented all of it. At the time, there was only 3. This was like junior high. And the Exorcist 1, 2, or I'm sorry, Sleepaway Camp 1, 2, and 3. I rented all 3 of them in the same night. And I watched the first one, probably 7th grade. First one ends, and I'm like, I did not see that coming. Who would have? Who totally would have seen that coming? When you watch the movie again, there's a lot of clues about it. Like, there are. Like, it doesn't really come out of left field in the sense that they do kind of set it up. And, because there's part like Angela won't take a shower with the rest of it. Why not Angela? When you're watching it for the first time, it's like, okay, because she's shy. You're not sitting there like, oh, it's because she's a dude. You know? So the movie ends, and I remember being like, what the fuck, that was really creepy. Like, this is amazing. And then I'm like, I can't wait, kind of like The Exorcist, like, I can't wait to watch the second one. I put it in, and like, it's like a comedy, and she has like catchphrases and one-liners, and I'm like, this is stupid. And then that ends, and I'm like, ugh, I guess I gotta watch the third one now. Put it in, same thing. She like puts a firecracker up a guy's nose at one point.
Your shit stinks.
Was that one of the lines from it?
No, it was the fat kid from One Sleepaway.
Oh, 4. Oh, Sleepaway Camp 4. Oh, that I saw that years later when that first came out. Because when I first saw the first 3 Sleepaway Camps, this was like early 90s. And then 4 came out, which made 2 and 3 look like masterpieces by comparison. Like, wow, 2 and 3 are really good. They don't have the kid in there screaming about his ass stinking for 90 minutes. Yeah.
Well, two other things is, one, getting back to that, did you ever see the Exorcist prequels, and which is your favorite version? What?
Yeah, I saw them. Favorite version.
Yeah, they're 2 totally different versions.
They're different. They're night and day. One of them's more of a kind of a exploitation movie. The other one's more serious and psychological. I saw the theatrical and the Rennie Harlan one. I saw it when I was living in California at the time, and I went to go see it. And I just kind of remember not being bored by it. Like, I don't know what I would think of it now, but at the time, like, okay, when the girl was possessed at the end and climbing all over the walls and shit, I remember being like, well, that's kind of entertaining. And then I saw the Dominion, the Schrader one, when that first hit DVD, and I watched it kind of one of those things where it's like the Schrader one is, in terms of storytelling, in terms of acting, it's a better movie. It's a better made movie too. But the Rennie Harlan one was more entertaining, if that makes sense. It's kind of like when you see a movie that, like, for all intents and purposes, is a better film. It's a better made movie. It's better written. But then you'll see like some bad movie, and it'll be kind of entertaining because it's kind of bad. It's kind of like that. Like, okay, the Dominion one's a better movie, but the other one, I was kind of bored more through Dominion than I was in the other one. Neither one of them are really that good. I would probably rather watch the second one, because at least, well, there's a guy in a locust costume. Can't get mad at that.
Right, and the other question is that the Death Note porn from your Linkara appearance in one of the episodes.
Yeah.
Was that real, or?
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I own it. That was something that somebody randomly sent to me. I don't know why, but they did. I don't even know if I mentioned that show. Maybe Jillian had, because she's big into Death Note and all of that. And so I got a package in the mail, and it was a porno spoof of Death Note. And it's called, I don't even know how to pronounce it, and I don't know what it means. It's M-E-A-T-H, meth, I don't know, note, whatever the hell that means. That's what it's called. Yeah, probably, if I were to watch it. But I don't know when I would get around to watching that. Probably never. In fact, I probably gave it to Jillian.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the Lloyd show gonna be like Tequila Vanity?
Nothing will ever be Tequila Vanity. There'll never be anything like it again. It's the greatest thing ever. I could never dare to mimic the greatness of Tequila Vanity. Oh my God. No, Lloyd, I started production on Lloyd, I think, before I had seen Tequila and Benetti. But no, Lloyd is, everyone can hear Lloyd talk, and it's kind of one of those universes where, like, there are humans, but there's also animals that also talk, but they are built like humans. So Lloyd, like, he stands on 2 feet, and he has a suit, and he has an office. But I've seen backgrounds of his office from the animators, and he still has like a litter box in his office. He has a poster that's a hang in there poster, but it's a guy hanging from it. I'm really excited for it to air. I am. I've asked when it should be done, and I'm told probably early May is when the first season will be 6 episodes long. Pilot will be probably early May, and I'm really, really excited for it. Like, I haven't been this excited about like one of my projects premiering like in a while. This is the most I've been excited about one, and I really think it'll go over really, really, really well.
Will the show be Brad approved?
Yes. No, I hate it. I'm never airing this piece of shit. Yeah, right there.
Okay. What is your favorite thing to try after I try? So what's your worst?
Worst was that
Garbage juice.
garbage juice? I don't remember that. Brad tries trash. Oh, that! Oh, God! I don't even remember what that was called, but I know what you're talking about. It was yeah, it kind of was trash water. I don't like pickles, so anytime I have to have something that's pickle related, I don't like that very much. The worst thing I ever had was, I think there was like a Brussels sprout soda. It tasted like warm carbonated butter. It was like the most that the closest I came to throwing up. The closest I came to throwing up because it was gross. There was a time before where I'd gotten sick, but it was only because it was a mixture of some different things in my stomach that didn't quite go together. Like the canned witch and an energy drink or something. Like, that kind of caused a war in my stomach. Best? I like, my favorite things are like seeking out like the Japanese Pepsis.
What about Nazi Cola?
Oh yeah, yeah. Nazi Cola, man. The Nazis brought back Crystal Pepsi. Thanks. Yeah, it's like when someone gives you $1 million, but you find out it was a serial killer that gave it to you. Okay. The drink's not literally made by Nazis, by the way. It's just a goofy name they gave to it. It's, well, I think it's the same company that made Leninade. The communist drink. All right. I remember that actually being pretty good, too. But yeah, that tastes like Crystal Pepsi, so that was cool.
First of all, thank you for being a champion of Crystal Pepsi. That's just that stuff. But I have a question for a friend of mine who I'm a casual on Twitter. Basically, a filthy Jew wants me to ask you.
Okay.
That's how I got it. Did you take a psychotropic drug in the opening prelude to Papa's Hot Shot? Because you
I don't even remember doing this show. That's not me in that show. I don't remember doing that. So yes, I was on all the drugs. Oh wait, time. How long did it take to get a question about that? 30 minutes, okay. 30 minutes to get a pop quiz hot shot. I hear that went over great. Everyone needs a Battlefield Earth on their resume. Oh, we have fun. Oh, they're gonna frame this?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You can see it was his idea to say a filthy Jew. It's
Irving asked me that?
No, it's because his name, his Twitter name is Jew Coochie.
Okay.
J-U-U.
Here's something funny. When that show premiered, when it had its first episode, I was in a movie. That was when we went to the the re-release of The Breakfast Club, and it was me and my buddy Dave. And when I got home, it premiered when I was out. When I got home, I had 71 messages waiting for me on Twitter. Direct messages, by the way, not notifications. Notifications was a lot more. And all of them read as if I had announced I was dying. I'm here for you, Brad. Oh my God, am I dying? I need to go to the hospital tomorrow. Did I get drunk and say something on Twitter? I don't remember this. Oh man, that was a fun night. Yeah.
Oh, I want to ask, are you going to do more 80s Dan or Cuntai Ted stuff soon?
Well, Cuntai Ted is now in a wheelchair.
He'd still be funny.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think that was Miami Connection, where it cut to Ted and he's in a wheelchair. There were people who were genuinely sad in the comments, like, oh my God, what happened to him? Like, didn't really, he's not a real character. He's a character in that he's fictitious. So I don't think there'll be any more episodes of that. But other than the random cutaway back to him, 80s Dan, we're planning on doing a movie. Probably not like next year, we're looking at that. And it'll be like kind of a spoof of like stuff like The Stepfather and like the 80s, like psychological, like thrillers like that. It'll be like a spoof. Like imagine The Stepfather crossed with American Psycho. It would be like that.
I really like to Catch the Predator episode.
That was fun to do. That was, yeah. Yeah, I like that show. I like that show a lot. I wish I had more time to do it. It's just one of those shows that's very time consuming to do. But I don't know if there will be an episode before we do the movie, because the movie will kind of exist in its own little entity.
Okay.
So I don't know if there'll be more episodes of the show before the movie. Maybe. I hope so. I mean, I gotta do the season finale of The Reviewers. I am doing Shot on Shitty-O. I've got to reshoot and then finish that movie. I'm so glad of all the movies that I've done that I've got to reshoot. It's the schlocky one shot on VHS tapes. I can reshoot that fast. It'll take a week, whatever. And it won't cost me anything. Just an extra VHS tape. 50 cents.
I've done a lot of videos as well, they're not very successful, but I enjoy doing them. But because I'm going for my bachelor's in media communications, so I'm kind of approaching the corporate world as well.
Yeah.
And I find myself having to kind of censor my videos because they see it, they're just like, we're not going to hire you if you.
Okay.
So have you ever had that problem, like when you first started out, or know anybody that has had that?
No. Not that it's affected like their job or anything like that, or trying to find employment. No. I mean, but even before I started doing the internet thing, I had done some movies, and they're more graphic than the Cinema Snob. Like I've done a couple serial killer movies and an '80s cop thriller, and they're a little raw. So I never. But the kinds of jobs that I had before I did this for a living, like. That would never come into play in them. I mean, I was a DJ for a few years. I was a delivery guy for a while. I did a lot of odd jobs. Like I did phones at Comcast.
And now it's got a strip club.
I did that. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Mercedes, what the fuck car is she in? Put your hands together for Edsel. Like, that's obscure. DeLorean. They had me say the worst jokes, man. When I did that, when I DJ'd at a strip club, this is years ago, this is like early 2000s, they gave you pre-written jokes, which is why when you go to which is why when you would go to this establishment, you would often hear the same jokes. This is why, and it was always just the worst shit. Like it was like the one that I'll always remember is the one that was you've heard of hot dog on a stick. Here's pussy on a pole. Sure, I'll say that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, nice lady. Nice naked lady.
Wait, that's what degrades her.
Honestly, yeah. If anything, it's a stupid joke. Any other stripper questions? Way in the back.
So, most of your DVDR episodes deal with blood boiling topics. So, which one made you the maddest?
The stuff I've watched for DVDR Hell. Rocket's Your Decision? Yeah. That movie sucks. Yeah, no, I didn't like that. I don't have a very good tolerance, I guess, for a lot of stuff that's in that. Like he doesn't like rock music because it's like devil worship, whatever. And then he's quoting it at the end, and he's like getting lyrics out of context. Like, I don't know how you missed the context of the lyric, "You've got to change your evil ways" by Santana, but somehow this idiot managed to do it. And then since they can't actually play the music in this thing, the actual rock music he's listening to is literally just them screaming devils and demons for like 30 seconds straight. Like, okay, so his problem is he just has shitty taste in music. And then it just got really homophobic at the end. Which is bad anyway, and my mom is gay. And so I'm watching this like, fuck this kid. Like, and so the tone of that episode got kind of serious. Not that I was sitting there like, I hope this kid dies, blah, blah, blah. No, not at all. It was just like, fuck this kid. Like, go be alone and listen to whatever shitty music you want to listen to. So that it made for a good episode. It did. There was a lot to talk about that movie. It's a movie that you could sit there and discuss just all the things wrong with it. And that kind of set that show on a different course, DVDR Hell, like to kind of go after different stuff like that. Stuff like Deception of a Generation, where like He-Man toys are evil because I'm high. Because Daddy never gave me this as a kid, so it's from the devil. Like, and like Bible Man, other things like that. Like that kind of set that show on a different path. But now Tequila and Benetti is there to make it the most joyous show on the internet.
Yeah, dog.
Anyone else? Yeah.
So how long till we get the review of the Big Bang Theory porno?
You know, it'd probably be better than watching that show. Oh, what? I'm sorry. Hey, be glad that Brian from my site's not here, because he would have been way harsher than me. Like, I'm standing up here like, I don't like it. Brian would choose a lot of words. A lot of, like, you would boo him more about not liking Big Bang Theory than you would about the prospect of him being a slaver. We were on a plane one time, me and Brian were, and this was when we flew out to Arizona to help Spoonie do a video. The one where Brian was Snow and he fought Spoonie at the end of it. We were flying out to Arizona for this, and that was a lot of fun to do. And so anyway, we're on the plane, and Brian's got a button on his hoodie for Green Lantern. I think that's what it was, or maybe it was for Flash, I can't remember. But it's something that like Sheldon wears. And so the guy, the dude who was serving drinks, he came by and he's got like maybe 45, something like that. He sees that on Brian's shirt and he's like, oh man, he's being serious too. He's like, oh man, I'll bet you're pissed off. You're missing the new episode of The Bang tonight. Is that a common thing with that show to call it The Bang? Is it? Okay, all right. Because that's the first and only time I've heard that. We land and we tell Spoonie this story, and Spoonie's just like, The Bang. The Bang. So Brian, he wasn't sitting there like, nah, fuck that show. He was just like, he wanted to be nice. So Brian was just like, no, it's okay, I got it DVR'd at home. He's lying. the guy kept bringing it up though. He'd go back, he's like, oh, I'm telling you man, The Bang tonight, so good. Brian's like, I know, don't spoil it for me.
So is The Bang the name of the porno?
I forgot this was originally a question about the porno. One thing leads to another. I'm on a plane with Brian. I would watch that because like I don't really review anything past like 95 for the Snob show, so I probably would watch that. Yeah.
Okay. Are you gonna do anything Land of the Lost related?
The
original show.
Probably not. I don't know where that would fit in the different shows I do.
And also, are you gonna do another Human Spider episode with Spoonie?
We've been talking about it. Spoonie wants a Thunderdome for it. He wants it to be big, like epic, like and all that.
It's gonna be 3's coming.
Yeah, it comes out next month. Yeah, that looks like a movie called Human Centipede 3. Yeah, we want to do a Human Spider 3. I don't know when, but that'll be something that happens. Who knows when? Yeah.
All right. So, would you be kind enough to give us a brief history of the Snob and the inspiration for it?
Sure.
Yep.
Had a lot of free time. I'd done movies before the Snob. I'd done some exploitation movies, and they didn't really go anywhere. This is low budget, shot on video movies. They were shot on like high-8 tapes, and they had premieres and stuff like that, but they didn't go beyond that. So I was working a job at the time where I only had to be there a few hours out of the day. It was like 2006, 2007. And at the time on YouTube, there wasn't a lot in regards to somebody spotlighting movies like this, the Italian horror movies, and really obscure schlocky stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to do that, but I had always found it, because I grew up watching those movies, and I had always found it funny when you'd see stuff like that reviewed on Siskel and Ebert. And they tear it apart for their reason. You know, it's just not their taste in movies. And it was kind of funny to see that. To watch like a highbrow kind of critic kind of dissect something like Friday the 13th, the final chapter. So I wanted to run with that. And that's where it came from. I shot a couple things just as a lark, and I put it online. And it really took a while for it to take off. It wasn't until a few years later that I was able to do it as a living. So I just did it because I liked it. I liked the show. It had a fan base, and I had time to do it. So I enjoyed it. You know, people liked seeing stuff about these, you know, movies that I kind of grew up on, and watching them in kind of a fun way. At the time, it was interesting to see different people who just thought that was myself. That the Snob was just me, because then that was the only way you would see me online. It's just as that character. And then later, it'd be like, wow, he is nothing like that in real life. Like, yeah, I'm not an asshole sitting there like being a highbrow art critic about like freaking Alucarda or something.
Children at play, I was gonna say.
Beware of children at play. Greatest ending ever. We got a bunch of kids here. Let's just kill them all. Shove a pitchfork in his neck. I don't know. Like that whole movie was designed by like a guy who had been to way too many movies that a kid like ruined in the audience. He's like, I'm gonna build this entire movie totally based on us killing a bunch of annoying kids at the end of it. I've been to a lot of movies, so I'm sitting here watching this movie like, yeah! Fuck that kid!
That was his reaction to the end of how Devil Times 5 should have ended.
Well, that it should have ended like Beware Children at Play. Yeah. I've seen this before. And I still like it. A bunch of kids get slaughtered at the end of the movie. Beware Children at Play, Devil Times 5, that movie's fucked up. You got Leif Garrett, who's like 12, going around in that movie. Actually doing a pretty good job. He puts like makeup on, he's a 12-year-old serial killer. You could be comparing Leif Garrett movies between that and Cheerleader Camp. Devil Times 5 is a way better movie. If you had to choose. Yeah.
Me? Okay, are you open to possibly working with the Nostalgia Critic on this year's Nostalgia Week?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
What movie would you have liked if you wanted to?
I don't know. We did a panel yesterday. I think this would be for Nostalgia-ween. But we were doing I was in the audience for him and Rom's panel yesterday, and it got brought up, us doing a crossover on Passion of the Christ. Oh my god, all we're thinking about is just Santa Christ. Like, getting whipped with like maple syrup or something. Just picture that, like once you picture it in your head, it's the greatest thing ever. Like Santa Christ who's only speaking like Aramaic or whatever language it was they talked about in Passion of the Christ. I don't know, like that is just the funniest thing in the world to me. I don't even know why they're so mad at him. And like I could be like, I think we were talking about like I would be like Pontius Pilate or something. Like I washed my hands of this sketch. The critic would be Judas. And then somewhere along the way we'd review the movie. I would love to do that. I would hands down love to do that. Way in the back.
You know how you did that game show recently with...
Oh, I remember.
2 questions. 1, are you planning on doing any more episodes of that? And 2, what's the backstory for that? Because kind of when I watched the video, there's kind of a story, but I don't know if I have the full backstory.
You've seen more of the show than I have. Okay, in terms of more episodes on it, I know that it's going to be retooled. I was hired to host it a couple of years ago, and I think I was still married. I was a couple of years ago. I was hired to do it, and that was it. I was hired to do a game show, and actually being there and like being really snarky with some of these contestants, despite outcome of the show, is actually kind of amusing. Like, because I'm sitting there and there was a couple of contestants that didn't know what the challenger was. Yeah, that challenger. And they didn't know what the challenger was. And I'm sitting there like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. And like, the girl was like, well, I wasn't born yet. And I'm like, oh yeah, what's Snob? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, what's the JFK assassination? Sorry, I wasn't born yet. I was born in '81. Really? Like, I'm sorry, that is not an excuse in a day and age when you can go on YouTube and see the challenger. That is, I mean, I don't know why you're doing that, but you can if you want. So I know that the show's gonna be retooled, but I don't know how. I don't know how. Like, I offered a suggestion for it. Like, my input on it was nothing really. I was just hired to come up and host. But we talked about some different things. Like, I threw out the idea of, like, what if it's like a scripted series about people who are making a bad game show? You know, something like the Larry Sanders Show, but it's kind of raunchier and is about the making of a game show. Like, I can be some just like drugged out host, but I'm still Brad Jones. I'm still by myself or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know what direction it's gonna go in, but if it airs, I'm sure I'll hear about it. Yeah.
Have you decided who you're gonna send some cold blood Mall Cop to next week?
Is that next week?
Yeah, it's next week.
What's opposite that?
You can Unfriended is.
Okay, I'll be at Unfriended. Unfriended will probably be me and Brian, probably, because we tend to go to the horror movies. Paul Blart. Should I look into the camera and ask my guys, like, if they're watching this? Sarah, will you go see this? I don't know. I'll probably throw out a message to, like, Sarah, Dave, Ryan. Somebody will end up seeing it, unfortunately. Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on this whole Unfriended, aka Skype window of the movie?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, the movie looks, it doesn't look very good, but I'm curious to see it just because what the fuck? It's a Skype movie? It's a Skype movie and like the guy's hand's in a blender and like shit's going out of focus. Like it really seems like this movie will give me a headache. Like you'll want to go up to the screen and like slap it to see if like the static will come back into place. From some different horror related sites, it's not getting that bad of reviews. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it could be surprising. It doesn't look very good, but I haven't seen it yet, so I mean, I can't really review it without having seen it. I did just say that I think it looks dumb, but I don't know, fingers crossed, maybe it'll be alright. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is kind of a two-parter, depending on your answer. One, are you an actual wrestling fan?
I don't watch a lot of wrestling.
Because
Spoony does.
I really like your crossover videos when you do with other people, and I would love to see you do a Spoony one. Maybe you're just like torturing him or something with those WWE meets Scooby-Doo or Flintstones.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, why not? Yeah, if I get asked to. Yeah, totally.
If he thinks WrestleMania is bad, he should be watching these.
Right. If I get asked to, totally. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any Titanic porno spoofs?
Yeah, there is.
Could you do a crossover with the Critic where you have similar action to the animated Titanic?
Why not? Yeah, there's one that I remember our video store had it. It was called like Titanic Tits or something. I think so. Was it Titanic? Titanic, okay.
Hey, Brad, there's a Roots porno parody.
Oh, I know. Roots. There's a Roots one. There's also a 12 Years a Slave porn parody. It's a real movie, and it's called, I'm not making this up, it's called 12 Inches a Slave. I know what Brian's getting for Christmas this year. Enjoy it. Take this movie, Brian.
What's your name?
Yeah, it's a different movie. Anyone else? Yeah.
One, The Exorcist remake. What do you think about that? I mean,
They're remaking The Exorcist?
I heard about there was a remake being in the works.
Wasn't it Poltergeist that they just released?
Oh, sorry, that's what I was thinking.
Poltergeist?
That's all right.
Everything about the trailer just makes me just want to watch the original. Like, it's like, okay, I understand that there's a new Poltergeist. It is a franchise. Like, there are 2 sequels. It has its own TV series. Of course there is going to be a new Poltergeist movie. Of course there is.
You changed the year, but you didn't change the movie!
If we're talking Craig T. Nelson reboots, I'm way more so looking forward to the Coach comeback. Because, fuck yeah, Coach. Yeah. I'm there. Premiere date, 13 new episodes of Coach, fuck yeah. That's actually happening too. NBC is bringing back Coach.
Oh yeah!
Yeah. So Poltergeist, it's everything in the trailer is just like, okay, that's from the original, that's from the original, that's from the original. It just makes me want to see the original. It's like, okay, I understand there's a new one. I don't know, do something different with it. I don't know, maybe the movie could be okay. but it's just one of those trailers where it is just made up of stuff from the original. And so, why?
And very last question is, do everybody do a follow-up to the Snob movie or anything?
Oh, a sequel?
Yeah.
The closest that I would come to doing any kind of follow-up to that movie would be if I made like a Black Angus movie. I'm not saying that would happen, but if I did, like, it would make like the movie that, if you haven't seen the Cinema Snob movie, it's about two guys who are trying to make an exploitation movie, and the movie they're trying to make is a 70s style blaxploitation movie called Black Angus. The closest I would come to making a sequel to the Snob movie was just if we made Black Angus.
Right.
If we just made that. That would be pretty fun, you know, it would, but I don't know if I would do that. Maybe. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you end up meeting Doug?
The first time I met Doug was when we did Kikassia. That was not long after I joined the site. I joined the site in like 2009, I think, or something like that. And Kikassia was a few months after I joined, and yeah, I definitely knew who he was. But the first video I think I saw of him was like when he challenged the nerd to review a bad movie where he walked into the, what was it, like, was it a video store? It was somewhere where the game store, okay, he was signing stuff, and I didn't know it was, I just happened to come across the video, and I didn't know, this was the first time that I'd seen the Nostalgia Critic, and so I didn't know it was a character. So I'm sitting there watching, who is this guy? Like, how did this guy not get thrown out? He just walked into the store and started screaming at somebody. I figured out pretty quick that it was a gimmick, but that was the first time I saw it. But when I signed up for that guy with the glasses, it was not long after I joined Blip. Okay, I joined Blip TV because Spoonie really helped me out with a lot of that. Like, he gave me advice to start my own site and move over to Blip. Really, if it wasn't for Noah, like, I wouldn't be here doing this. I probably wouldn't have a site. Who knows what I would be doing? I'd probably still be working at Comcast. Sweet. So if it weren't for him, like, I really owe a lot to him. And I built my own site, and when I got a pretty good backlog of some different shows, that's when I submitted to Channel Awesome. And they picked me up, and not long after that, we did Kikassia, and that was the first time I met Doug. Way in the back.
Sorry for like a theme of Doug, but would you ever do a crossover of 50 Shades of Grey with the Nostalgia Critic?
Yeah.
I think you mentioned you would do like a review of the movie as soon as the DVD come out. And
Yeah, if I'm asked, totally. Yeah, it's pretty rare that I say no to something like that. Like, I don't know, unless it'd be like, let's do a crossover on this snuff film that guy got sent to me. I don't know, I might come back to haunt us. Yeah, of course I would. If I was asked, totally. Yeah.
It's kind of a weird question, but when you saw it follows, like me and my friend just saw it last night, and as soon as we got out, there was someone dressed in white, and they were like walking towards us, and we were like,
Yeah.
God, did that happen to you?
Movie gets under your skin, man. Yeah, totally. Like, me and Dave, we go see that. We're standing up front, we're having a cigarette. Someone's walking up to the theater, like, I don't know if I trust this guy. He's probably here to see, like, Do You Believe or some shit. Oh yeah, it's a creepy movie. It's so creepy. Like, it gets under your skin and just like makes your skin crawl when you're watching it. Oh yeah, 80s retro vibe to it. Oh yeah, if you haven't seen It Follows, check that out, man.
I understand that earlier you answered the question that you would not be doing reviews of hentai. But,
probably not.
But what if it was part of a crossover with, say, Bennett?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, totally.
Because I could just totally imagine you tackling that with him.
Yeah, I'd absolutely do that.
Oh, and one more question.
Yeah.
You like bubbles?
Do I? I have the feeling of why I have the urge to watch Oogie Loves again. Man, when we went to go see Oogie Loves, one, we were high. We totally were. And we walk up there, we're like, we're gonna do this baked. So 3 of us, it would be so bad we lost our buzz like 15 minutes in. We were pissed off. We were pissed. We walk into this thing, and we were a few 30-year-olds walking into this like 11 o'clock in the morning. And it's so okay, we walk in there, the kid is standing up there, and immediately he knew what I was gonna say. Immediately, because he had this smirk on his face, and I'm like, hey, 3 for Oogie Loves. And then the manager like has her back turned, and she like turns slowly and gives me this weird look. And I'm standing there like, no, it's for a website. We're reviewing it for a website. Thank God she believed me. She's like, oh, okay, thank God. I'm like, are we the first ones here? Or are we the only ones here? She's like, no, there's some guy in there with his kid. I'm like, okay. He's like, you're the first ones to see this. It's like Sunday. We moved him out for 2 days. So we go there. She's like, do you want magic wands? We're like, fuck yeah, we do. That 15 minutes where we were just baked watching this movie. Like, because the movie's about, like, they lost the pillows, they lost the balloons that they're gonna give to their pillow because it's his birthday. And the pillow has, like, eyes and a nose, and he's asleep on the couch because he's a pillow. And he's, like, snoring. And at one point, he sneezes, and then, like, feathers come out. And I'm sitting there, like, just high. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Is he okay? Like, did he just like vomit up his intestines? Because he's a pillow, he just spit out feathers. That'd be like if I sneezed and my stomach came out. So 15 minutes there, we were legitimately concerned. We lost our buzz and we were bored and pissed. Yeah.
Is that Jake broke ever give Dave cancer?
No, not that I know of. No. He had broke the wand. There was a bad joke in the movie, and he broke it, and the glow stuff flew all over Dave. That was Dave glue for the rest of the movie.
I also get that I'm lucky that the area I live in, we still have a really cool video store near us that has like, I saw it like in a cold section, it has like the Dr. Sex Molestation, this DVD,
Yeah.
like it has that type of stuff, and like Porterville served by Stephanie. Do you still have one of those near you? Or
No. I remember when I was collecting a lot of movies like that. Actually, our Best Buy would have them of all places. There used to be a time, late 90s, early 2000s, where you could get shit like that at a Best Buy. Now, there's like 18 copies of Saw 5, and that's it. No, there's really nothing. Well, no, we do have some pawn shops, but it's unlikely you would find something like that there, unless it's like my copy that was stolen years ago. That's honestly probably what it would be. Unfortunately, no. If I want something like that, I typically have to order it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
On average, how long are you spending in the movie theater?
When we go to the movies, it's Thursday night, because Thursday night's when they do the pre-screening. So I'm there at least once a week. Sometimes I'm seeing 2 movies in a night. And sometimes that could be a long night. We just saw this movie, now we gotta go back in and watch Taken 3.
Oh no!
God damn it. Sometimes I think, man, what was some of the... Okay, I had a double feature one time. I had to go watch Haunted House 2. And that was almost worth it because Jillian was so mad sitting there through it. And I'm sitting there like, oh, this is a piece of shit. And Jillian's sitting to me like, shaking, like, I want to fucking leave so bad. It's like when it gets like 10 minutes into the movie, there's a 5-minute scene of Marlon Wayne just fucking the Annabelle doll. Duh. At least the scene from Team America had context. I don't know. And so Jillian's pissed. She's like, I want to fucking leave so bad. And I'm like sitting here giggling like, oh, she's pissed. And then we saw that. And then we had to go back into the theater to watch Transcendence. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Jillian liked it though. She enjoyed it. I don't know. She had just seen Haunted House 2, so who can blame her, I guess. Yeah.
You seem like you have a lot of fun on the sets for the movies that you make.
Yeah.
What were some of the most fun memories you have on the sets of the movies that you've done, like Paranoia, the Cinema Snob movie Hooker with a Heart of Gold?
I don't know, we have a really good time making them. Every experience is not that dissimilar because it's, you know, we're all friends, we're goofing around, making some silly movies.
We're going over time.
Are we?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what time is it?
It's 6:03.
Oh my god, I'm late.
I just want to say, you kind of actually being here was the only reason why I actually
Thank
came
you.
here.
Thank you very much, man. I got to meet much of the reception. So yeah, take it out. Go for it.
I gotta go to my Los Angeles Walmart.
Go for it.
And enjoy that box, and
Thank you.
please let me know how the cats like the video.
You got it. All right, so yeah, like every experience is kind of the same. Like we just kind of goof around, make some movies. Well, I guess that's it. If you want to come to our site, we're at thecinemasnob.com, channelawesome.com. League of Super Critics over on YouTube. You can find us on Blip TV. You can find us at a lot of different places. So thanks so much for coming out.